You might have thought that Evelyn was incredibly annoying to play against, but here I am to tell you that the one that's most obnoxious to play against was actually Fizz, with Xolaani being able to be buffed up indefinitely thanks to Siren Song being obnoxious as hell. Hello, my name is Nidalee. I've been Masters 4 times in a row, and today we're going to be talking about why Fizz is meta. Fizz was played 25,000 times within the last 7 days. Within the last 7 days, Fizz has managed to have a 57% win rate, considering that the average play rate is almost 10% of the player base is playing this deck right now. What exactly is making Fizz so meta are 3 specific cards. 1, Xolaani. The reason Xolaani is so good is because there is a ton of 1-cost units in this deck, including Fizz himself, and because of that, they're able to get a massive advantage. 2, Siren Song. This card got added very recently in the recent patch. Thank you, Pearl King. And the third card that's making Fizz as good as he is Reaver's Row. Reaver's Row being able to summon 2 random 1-cost units and increase all the 1-cost units 1/1 plus give them all fearsome is insane. Finally, of course, not necessarily included, but Fizz himself is very valuable. I haven't even gotten to this point because he honestly, like, you win the game before you even get to that point. Fizz being able to be a 1-cost means that he'll be able to get the advantages Siren Song, and Fizz being able to use his spell if you have multiple Fizz in your hand. Fizz's Playful Trickster, having a fast and being able to remove an attacking ally from combat to rally, means that you're able to attack twice, not once, twice with Xolaani if the opponent somehow manages to stop your Xolaani attack through stuns or any other means. You literally can just use Fizz's secondary card and you'd be easily able to, like, you know, play aggressively. I played 4 games today to get some recordings and to really show some gameplay and the really starting hand. If you're going to choose to play Fizz, which of course 10% of you already are, I think the most important thing when it comes to playing the deck, as I'm playing it more and more, is that you really want to have Siren Song or you want to have Reaver's Row in your hand in the beginning. I got really unlucky with a lot of my starting hands where I put my cards back and then I got Xolaani, the Blood Weaver. If you've played Anti Jin, you kind of have an idea that just because you have a 1-cost or a 2-cost card in your hand, in your starting hand, doesn't mean that you want to keep it. Usually you want to trade it in and honestly see if you can get something that has higher value. In this case, the biggest value in your deck is going to be the Siren Song and the Reaver's Row. If you do not buff up your 1-cost units, Xolaani will not be getting value. Once again, if you're not buffing up the units, you are not getting the value from Xolaani, or the passive from Xolaani of her inevitably getting stronger and stronger and stronger and being able to defeat your opponent. With that also in mind, if you're playing this deck, do not give up units that do not have any buffed stats. If your unit dies, for example, let's say I have the Jagged Butcher, or let's say I have Lunari Deathbringer active on the field, you do not want to give up this unit to block regardless of the value. You do not want to give up this unit to block unless that unit already has buff stats. Remember, if you do not have a buff stat, Xolaani is not stacking. If Xolaani is not stacking, you do not have an endgame. This deck is incredibly reliant on the fact that you have an endgame or at least an objective to complete. Your objective is to have the strongest 1-cost units you can possibly have. With that purpose, that is why Pale Cascade is in this deck. That is why Eye of Nagakoboros, very hard to pronounce. The Eye of Nagakoboros is in your deck as well, because by drawing 2, you're putting yourself in. Moonlight Affliction is pretty good when it comes to playing aggressively. In the gameplay that I had, I didn't necessarily get to be in a position to use Moonlight properly or effectively necessarily. I did get to use Sunburst, and you'll see how Sunburst, if you're playing against another Fizz enthusiast, which you probably will, 1 in 10 chance, you want to use your Sunburst for that specific, your opponent's Xolaani. Playing with units that have both Nightfall and Daybreak is a little tricky sometimes, when, you know, they're very reliant on the getting such big bonuses by playing them in that manner. So do make sure to be paying attention to how you're doing that and how you're approaching the game with that. Other than that, honestly, just play the game, you know, very aggressively, yes, you do want to hold out on being aggressive until your units are buffed. But once your units are buffed, you do want to give up those units. Those units have to die. If your units are not dying, Xolaani's not getting buffed up. If you're gonna, you know, you get to the end and Xolaani, while she might not have any units to buff up to attack, she's still being like a 16-16 or like an 18-18, right? Being able to attack in that capacity means that she is able to go through practically any unit that your opponent puts through. Usually an opponent might have like a 7-7 or a 6-7, right? Even then, you're going to be able to do like 14-12 damage, right? So really just take advantage of using your units to buff up Xolaani. It's like having Xolaani as your true champion and Fizz is kind of a secondary champion. That's really how this deck is getting played, which is super weird that Xolaani is not a champion and we'll practically have to treat her as one. Not a fan. I hope she gets a big fat nerf, or I hope that Siren Song gets a big nerf. I just feel like there is a lot better things that we could be playing, guys, and I know Xolaani is very, very big on the top decks right now. Evelyn as well, very, very frustrating to play against, etc, etc. I think if you really don't want to play Fizz and you really want to go against the meta, you have to play stun decks. If you want to play something that stuns or, you know, is just being very annoying and very aggressive to deal with these one cost units, it has to probably be Illaoi Swain, as they perform pretty good to deal with the stuns or deal with like burst abilities or spells that can get rid of the units on the board. Even then, I played a game today where I beat Illaoi Swain, and it's just, you know, one of those situations where if you're able to apply enough pressure, your opponent's just going to be struggling against you and there's not much of an opportunity that they have to deal with you. Go play Fizz, have a good time. I kind of hate you for playing this deck, and hopefully we get out of this meta as soon as Siren Song gets nerfed. Very big hype. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video in this description, please leave a like and subscribe.